my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be my June 2026 reading wrap-up. So I said in my mid-year video that I was worried that this month was going to be the month in which I read the least amount of books in the year, because it sure looked like that was going to happen at the time, and I'm just way too behind on my reading challenge for that to be the case right now, and you know what? While it is not the most, it's also not the least either, so I'm gonna take it. All of the content warnings I can find linked down below in the description, along with links to some resources, and let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with my first audiobook of the month, we have Chlorine by Jade Sung. This follows Ren, who is a swimmer whose daily life begins and ends at the pool. She also grew up with stories of mermaids and has always longed to become one, as she is willing to do anything to make a life for herself where she can finally be free. So I thought I hated this book at first, like I thought it was for sure a DNF like pretty early on, and that's because of the main character combined with the writing style. It comes off as very much like not like other girls, and it's really frustrating at times, and that was present for me throughout the entire book. It comes off as very off-putting, and there are some other scenes throughout the book that I do think fall under that too, but at a certain point I realized that I do think that it is done purposefully in this case, and while I don't think that that necessarily absolves this book of its crimes against me, I did end up liking it more after realizing that. Like, the characters have some Yellow Jackets energy, and that is one of my favorite shows, and I also definitely think that in here there is a story within all of this that for me was worth seeing through to the end, because it is dark and there are a lot of moments that are really uncomfortable in just so many ways. The horror elements of this are absolutely brutal and visceral and really just all too real. So while I can't say that I enjoyed this book or really any of the characters, I was certainly along for the ride. Like, it's a 2.75 out of 5 stars for me, but I do have a level of respect for it at the same time. And then we have another audiobook, and that is Hijab Butch Blues by Lamia H. And this is a memoir that follows a queer hijabi Muslim immigrant as she survives her coming of age by drawing on stories from the Quran. I always feel a little bit weird talking about memoirs because they are literally someone's life, which is why I don't really rate them either, but yeah, I do recommend this one if anything in the description sounds interesting to you, because I thought that the author's story and experiences were interesting. I was fully engaged with it the entire time. I feel like sometimes with audiobooks, like, there are moments where I could put them on and I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like it right now. This was not one of those. Like, every time that I had a moment, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go put this on. It also does incorporate stories from the Quran as the author compares her experiences and tries to make sense of things in her life. I really like the coming of age themes that were present in here too. And then we have Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding by Chancia C. Higgins. And this follows one of our main characters, Chris, who is going to be a competitor on Instant I Do in order to find love, while our other main character, Devon, is competing in order to come out to her mom. These two need to convince their friends and family that they're getting married for 6 weeks in order to win the show, but it isn't long before their relationship begins to flourish. Okay, so I do have some mixed feelings about this one because I went into it expecting to love the reality competition show aspect of it, and it just didn't fully feel fleshed out to me in the way that it could have been. I also didn't love how it combined with the relationship angst, which is probably my biggest complaint here. Like, the pacing of the relationship overall just felt way too fast to me. And part of me is okay with that because, like, not everything has to be super intense. Things can be light and fun, and it is. But this book would also kind of, like, dip into some of the angst that I wanted to see when it comes to how the show can complicate the relationship, among other things as well. I think I just wanted more of a slow burn with it because when the angst was approached and then resolved, the resolution just didn't feel as satisfying to me as it could have. But again, not everything has to be super serious. Like, we can just be fun and cute here, and this book has a lot of that as well. Some of my favorite moments in this book came from the family relationships, and there were heartwarming moments when it comes to being out and having support. And there were also moments where a character was trying to learn and grow as well, and did mess up throughout the book. And despite what I said about the pacing a second ago, I also liked our main couple. Again, I would have liked them a little bit more if the pacing was slower, but they have some really good chemistry. So yeah, mixed feelings here, but the more that I let go of my complaints while reading and just had fun with it, the better time that I had. I'm going to give Devon and Chris Plan a Wedding 3.75 out of 5 stars. And then we have volumes 7 and 8 of The Moon on a Rainy Night by Kuzushiro. And this follows a high school girl who has a chance encounter with a classmate whose music dreams were complicated when an accident almost completely took her hearing. And although this girl tends to push people away with her icy demeanor, through one kind gesture, our main character is able to begin slowly breaking down her walls. I really love both of these volumes. We wrapped up an ongoing storyline, dove into some character exploration, and I think it's going to lead the series to some really exciting places when it comes to the main relationship. I thought that both of these volumes had some really good moments. The comedy was fun, as per usual. I feel very settled in with this series at this point, and with the characters. I feel like they just have a really great cast of characters in general. It is definitely one of my favorites, and I'm excited to see where they go from here. And then we have the second volume of Senpai Isuno Tokonoko by Palm. And this follows one of our main characters who finds herself captivated by by her senior who is on the school board. Although she's worried that the senior may be uncomfortable receiving a confession from another girl, she works up the courage to do it anyway, and through that confession finds out that he is actually just dressing as a girl. And now he's the one expecting her to be freaked out and rejects her confession, citing his identity as the reason why he's never fallen in love before, which leads him to wonder if he can ever truly find love if he cannot find it in himself to love himself first. I mentioned when I talked about Volume 1 in May that I knew from watching the anime that the story was going to get emotional and heart-wrenching, and yeah, that starts in this volume, and I will say, I do think that the anime hit me a little bit harder, but I still got emotional from the moments of joy and care that resulted from the pain. This was also the first time since starting the manga that I thought about reading past where the anime left off. Like, I don't know why that hadn't fully, like, gotten into my brain yet, but that is something that is eventually going to happen. And I do think that I am going to get to that point a lot quicker than I expected, but I feel like I need to see these characters through to the end of their story. Like, ever since watching the anime, I felt very attached to and, like, protective over them, so I am curious to see where things go here. So now it's time for some more manga, and while I haven't caught up to all of the series that I would normally be caught up to if, you know, I didn't fall behind, I did keep up with the Kodansha series this month, and I caught back up to The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. So we're taking small steps to get back on track to where I want to be, and I read chapters 216 to 220 of Windbreaker, chapters 181 to 192 of The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, chapter 34 of Galaxias, and chapters 164 to 167 part 2 of Gachiakuda. And when I say caught up to these series, I do mean as caught up as I can be without using any points to unlock the chapters over on the K-Manga app, because I do need to save up on points in order to unlock a lot of chapters of another series right now. And my favorite set of chapters from the ones that I just read off definitely came from The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, and maybe it is slightly unfair that that is the case here because there were more of them for me to read, but I haven't been able to read this much of the series at once since catching up to it last year, and it was so lovely. It was so cute and charming. I love these characters so much. And same with the main romance, we got some incredible moments from them. They make my heart really happy. And we also wrapped up a major storyline and moved into another, and I just had a really amazing time with them all around. Okay, so that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!